Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sty Times. It's great to see y'all. It's great to see y'all. I can say that. I can say it's great to see y'all. I love all my viewers. You guys are great. You're just awesome people. Don't ever tell me I can't say that. I want to shout out some of them folks out in the chat. Um, yeah, we had some folks show up early. Cindy Lou popped in right away. Said, "Hi, Sty. I'll be back later." I mean, and she came in quite early. Quite early. I do try to post this anywhere from 2 to 5 hours prior to the show, so I get folks that jump in real early to let me know. I'll be there. I'll be there. That's so nice. I mean, I truly appreciate it. Shiva B, the same. I wasn't sure if she was going to be able to get back into the chat and that, but if not, she would watch later, which is nice because I do let all these streams, all these shows are on my YouTube channel. You can go there and watch all the Sty Times. The and we've had over 60 episodes, I believe. Wow, it just goes on and on. Um, and we had Kirk Whipper Voyager Center popped in. Tim, it is so good to see you, my dear friend. And we've got a newcomer. I haven't seen this channel name before. And welcome, 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 Everlasting Soul. I love that. That's a great channel name. Great channel name. Justin Anderson is here, another great dependable. Yes, always good to see you, Justin. And there's my sweet, not by blood, but by soul, my sweet niece, Gemma Journey's Grace. Yeah, it's great. Melissa Spencer, sweetheart, it has been a while. It is so good to see you. Native, good son. Oh, it's always so good to see you. It's always so good to see you. I love your little Facebook posts, somewhere it's just like, Happy Friday, and it's just a picture of you standing there. I love that. I love that. Yeah. It's so real. Oh my Lord, there's Samantha Lee's original. Samantha, sweetheart, it is so good to see you. Oh, that's a person that she holds a big piece of my heart, that girl there. If you're not following Samantha Lee's originals, get over there and follow her, because I'll tell you what, pure talent, and along with it goes a big heart. I mean, she's a special person to. Yeah, you want to have a Samantha in your life. Yeah, you definitely do. Everybody's out there trying, just talking away. Oh, love you too, Sam. You know that. You know that. I've got, yeah, the my Sty Story Sunday and my Around the Campfire live streams. The intros are a channel intro song. Well, really, it's almost like a folky type song about me and what I offer on my channel. And it was written by Samantha and performed by Samantha. And it'll always be my top favorite song. I'm sorry, but it just will be. So, but yeah, I feel overly privileged that she did that for me quite a long time ago. Quite a long time ago. Yeah. And I still try to share that out whenever I can. Whenever I can. Well, this evening's topic, you can't say that. Now, I know people want to take it all different directions, and really, I guess the reason that topic ever ended up in the mix that it come up in the show is it's hard for me it's hard for me to even imagine people trying to get through life in general having to ask themselves, can I even say that? And we all do it. There's a lot of times where it's like, I want, and then you stop and you go, oh, I can't say that. Why can't you? Because it's going to upset somebody. You might say something that'll upset somebody. Well, oh, Johnny Bravo. My gosh, it is so good to see Johnny Bravo out there in the chat. And I have to say what he says because here you can say it. You can't say that. If it's nasty and disrespectful, you can't say that. You'll get it out once. That's about it. That's about it. Because old style shut you down. Otherwise, if you got something to say and it's not damaging to somebody, you can say that. And Johnny Bravo said, somebody said they're serving prune smoothies. If this is true, I'll pass on it this time. You'll pass on it, even if you do have one. That prune smoothie will make sure you pass on it. Love it, Johnny. That's great. Hey, Running Water, it is great to see you, my son. What a wonderful person he is. I am a very proud father. I'm proud of my boy, Running Water. I'm very proud of him. Yeah, thank you, Gemma, for throwing Samantha's link up there for her channel. Please, folks, if you aren't following Samantha Lee, please do. Please do. Now, I have to say, I get told once in a while because I'm a person that thinks his mind, all right? And I'm not shy of calling someone I think is a friend kind of on the carpet and saying, hey, what you just said was wrong. Yeah, ooh, that wasn't good. No. Ooh, and here's why. And I think you all understand that'll upset someone. You know, that can really upset someone when you call them out and say, hey, that's not what you said. That isn't what you said. I'm not saying you can't say what you said. I'm just saying what you did say just wasn't good or it wasn't right. And then they get all bent out of shape at you. And all of a sudden they want to destroy a friendship. And all of a sudden they want to ostracize you. And I guess you can't say that. You can't just be honest, right? This world has become that way. There's so often that you try to say something and someone will say, you can't say that. I say back to them, well, I just did, didn't I? What do you mean I can't say that? Of course I can. I just did. You can say whatever you want if you're willing and able to accept the ramifications of what you have to say. For someone to say you can't say that, you try to say it and you just go, blah, 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 blah. I guess you're right. I can't get it out. I can't say it. But if you come right out and say it, you just proved them wrong. The heck I can't say it. I can say it. Well, we're in a world today where, I mean, you almost have to be afraid of what you say because somebody's not going to like it. with reason or without reason. Sometimes I wonder, why would you even care what they just said? But you got to stop and think. Anything I say, somebody can take their own way, and they'll tell me, you can't say that. So what do they do now in this era? I've never seen that. I've lived, well, I got 4 days. I got 4 days. And I can downright claim I've lived 65 years. And in 65 years, I have not experienced until the last 5-10 years anyone telling someone else, you can't say that, because it hurt my feelings. In the same way it was used all those other years. In the past, someone would say, whoa, you can't say that in front of people. You can't say that in public. You can't say that to your mom. You can't say that to your dad, or he'll box your ears. They would say that. You can't say that. The ramifications. You can't say that to your dad. He'll box your ears. Well, you get your ears boxed if you said that to your dad. There's a ramification for you. Nowadays, they talk about, if you say that, we're going to pass a law that you cannot say this, or you cannot say that. What is a law like that going to do? All that does is create a punishment for you using a God-given right you were born with. When you were born, what's the first thing you hear? You hear smack, and you feel that whack on the butt, and you hear the doctor say, breathe, baby, breathe. And you're thinking, so the language is something we learn from those around us. We learn that not because they're teaching it to us as much as we have the ability to learn. We're born with that ability, right? We were also born with that ability to be vocal. The minute we got that slap on the butt, we started screaming. Does the doctor yell at the baby and say, you can't say that? You can't scream like that? No, because that's a God-given right, man. You were born with a vocal ability and the ability to learn how to use that to express yourself. And then later in your life, all of a sudden, you're expressing yourself and you're saying something, and somebody says, you can't say that. And there's a law now that says you can't say that. And if you do, they're going to fine you. They're going to give you a fine. They're going to take money away from you. In the worst case, they're going to lock you up. They're going to lock you up in a little cell somewhere, and you're going to have to spend some time in there reflecting on what you said, because you can't say that. Of course you can say that. But now we have to live with those ramifications that never existed before. They weren't going to fine you. They weren't going to put you in county jail because you said something. They weren't going to ostracize you from society. They weren't going to target you and say you're a bad person because you can't say that. Well, of course they can say that. Now, I had somebody say, give me a good example of something you cannot do. Well, I can't jump off of a 100-story building and fly home. Never tried it. I ain't gonna. But I've seen people that have jumped off of a big building. They didn't fly home. They went splat. That's something you can't do. And he says to me, he says, well, one thing you can't do, it's very simple. He says, you'll understand. He says, one thing you can't do is murder somebody. You can't be doing that. I said, but you're so wrong. And he said, I'm not wrong. You can't do that. It's against the law to murder somebody. I said, you're absolutely right about that. It is against the law to murder somebody. But that doesn't mean you can't. Well, of course you can. You can go down, walk on a street corner and go, hey, buddy, come here. And you murder him. Well, that shouldn't have happened because he can't do that. You can't murder people. Well, obviously they can. But there's ramifications that go with that, right? Yeah, they're going to, some states, they'll put you in jail the rest of your life. Some states, yeah, they'll put you in that electric chair, But it doesn't mean they can't. So why is it all of a sudden, just because you say something, they treat it like a murder law? You can't do that. In order to prove you can't, we're going to give you fines or jail time or something to punish you for saying something, for words. The only time words hurt somebody is when those words encourage somebody else to cause harm on someone. Otherwise, words are just air. Sound waves. They're just sound waves. Goes back to the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yeah. When I was a kid, I remember someone saying, hey, you don't think words will hurt you? See that bully that we all run from every time we see him? Go down there and call him an asshole, see what happens. I ain't doing that. I'm going to get hurt. See, words will hurt you. They might be your own words. Like if you go down there and call that bully an asshole, somebody's going to get hurt. And guess who it's going to be? It's going to be you, the guy that said it. Oh, yeah. I'd rather have them pitching sticks and stones at me. Yeah, I ain't going to go say that. Because you're right. Words can hurt. They can hurt. But that's a normal reaction and consequence to what we say. Doesn't mean we can't say it. You can go down there and call that bully that name. You can do it. Now you have to ask yourself, should I do that? No, I shouldn't. It's not that I can. I can't. It's not that I can't say that to him. But I probably shouldn't. Bacon stuffed donut, you're beating a dead horse, Yeah. I just got to bring that up. I see it out in the chat, just like they tried to say Trump did on January 6th. Yeah. And that's it, is they're going to take whatever you say and they're going to tell you can't say that because this happened and that happened because of what you said. Well, anytime they do that, anytime they say, you can't say that because it's going to start something with them. Well, what about them? Are they dumb enough to do something you just said? If they want to blame Trump, then they need to blame everybody involved equally. And so, in other words, he can't say that? Well, he did. It's how did you take it? What was his intent? We need to ask him personally what his intent was. And we know what his intent was. It wasn't to cause our capital to be torn down. For crying out loud, I mean, simple, common person's common sense. If Donald Trump still wanted to be president and he felt that the election was skewed, why would he tear down what he represented? Why would he tear himself down, right? Because that's what would have happened if they would have tore our government down. He would have been nothing. He would have been nothing. It wasn't to his advantage for them to storm the Capitol. It wasn't to his advantage whatsoever. So why would he encourage that? He would have preferred to remain president. So why would he have said something to destroy that chance, to totally destroy it? He wanted them to peacefully go down there and say, hey, isn't there something we can do about this? We need to look into this. But people didn't like that. They didn't like what he said. So they said, he can't say that because he said it. It's not anybody else's fault. It's all his. Well, you can't say that. You can't say that. I see folks popping in over here in the chat. We got me Dibble in the house and Rebecca Felter. It's great to see you, Rebecca. Joshua Elderman's here. Hi. Yeah. Great bunch of folks over there in the chat. Great bunch of folks. But you can't say that. You just can't say that. And that's like I said, that's the way the world has gone now. Is I grew up in an era where you were held responsible for anything you said or did. You were held responsible for it. You were never told you can't. Without something being added to that. It was always, you can't do that, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, right? You can do it, but are you ready for what could happen? Well, what would happen is you'd make a fool of yourself sometimes with what you'd have to say, They wouldn't say, you can't say that. I grew up in the 60s, okay, and the early 70s. I lived in a suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, in a beautiful lake community. We had lakes all around us, water all the way around. In fact, to get into our community, you could not get into our community without crossing a bridge. You had to cross water to get to our community. So technically, our community was an island. But it was a suburb. At that time, it wasn't even considered a suburb. It was called Lake Country. It was outside of the big metro Minneapolis area. But we had so many people come from Minneapolis out to our community over the weekends. We had our population, we didn't have anybody to speak of color that lived in our community. They just didn't. It's not that they couldn't. They just didn't live out in that community. I think it was because it was too far away from where they grew up and blah, blah, blah. Because they were more than welcome. And when I grew up, a person of color was just another person. This is in the 1960s, mind you, during all the civil rights uproars and all that. Now, I'm not trying to downplay the civil rights movement at all. But in our community, there was no need for a civil rights movement, because if you had 2 legs, 2 arms, you looked like a person, and you could talk, well, you must be a person, and you're going to get treated the same as anybody else. My pop was the chief of police of that community. And I tell you what, you use the N-word on a person of color in that community when in the 60s, you don't want my pop to hear it. Oh, no. That would not be a good thing. That would not be a good thing. Because he'll show you who the N-word is. It's the moron that used it. He'll be all over you like flies on you know what. I didn't I think it's stuff. Yeah, Minnesota is really gonna. My hometown doesn't even exist anymore. Doesn't even exist. It's part of the greater metro area. It's all these big high-rise condominiums all around the lake's edge. The only thing left in that town I grew up in that is even the slightest bit close to what it was through all my childhood and a huge part of my adult life. The only thing left that is recognizable as the original town is the street I grew up on. The rest of the town, you can't even recognize it. Can't even recognize it. It's gone. It's gone. There's no mom and pop businesses anymore. It's all big corporate stuff, all big business buildings, condos, the lakefront, it's all commercialized. Mr. Fulton says, today is National Pizza Day. What's your favorite pizza toppings on National Pizza Day? Mr. Fulton, you can't say that. My favorite pizza toppings I cannot have. I'm unable to actually eat. Well, I could nibble a little, I guess, to get the flavorings, but I have to have an awesome Italian sausage. I have to have high-end, really high-end Italian pepperoni. I've got to have both cheddar and mozzarella on my pizza. Homemade pizza sauce. And almost any other topping you want to throw on it. Except for anchovies. You put anchovies on my pizza, I'm going to be so upset having to throw that whole thing in the trash. Yeah. Yeah, bacon stuffed donut, that's great. He says his father was from Arkansas, and he was raised to treat people from their character, not pigments. He didn't play that racist crap. And the thing is, and I guess that's where I was leading bacon stuffed donut. When I was growing up, my pop, boy, he drilled it into us, and we really did learn it. We learned it. All 4 of us kids in the family. There's good and bad people. It don't matter what color they come in. Don't matter what color they come in. There's good and there's bad people. Now, the state of Minnesota had titled our community as the third highest in juvenile delinquency, right? And it was because of a 1 year statistic. My pop went on a campaign to eradicate juvenile delinquency. Kids skipping school, kids breaking windows, kids doing all these bad little things. Boy, he stepped on them all, man. He went through our whole community, and he's charging them kids, and their parents are having to pay fines for the damages their children are doing. And he did that for almost a full year. And all of a sudden, the community, boy, it just changed overnight. It was clean, happy, kids were good, everybody was happy. But the state said third highest juvenile delinquency rate. Well, the Minneapolis Tribune newspaper, which was the biggest media outlet in the state of Minnesota at the time, of course, they come to a city council meeting and nail my father and start questioning him. And they go, why do you have so many juvenile delinquents in your community? You have that many bad kids? Headlines in that newspaper the following day. Chief of police says there are no bad kids. Not a single bad kid in our community. We just have some poor parents. They said he can't say that. Way back then in the 60s, they said his nickname was Porky, and they said, Porky, you can't say that. You can't say that it's the bad parents. Those kids are the ones out there doing those things. They wouldn't be if they had good parents. He said, you want to blame the kids. You want to call them bad. The fact of the matter is, it's poor parenting. That's all it was. And when he started citing those children and those citations, the cost of those citations was hitting the parents' pocketbook. And they started realizing, I got to keep my kid in line. And they started parenting instead of just ignoring it, let the cops deal with it. Things changed, and the community was happy, vibrant. People weren't dealing with out-of-control children. People started parenting. And he wanted to make it perfectly clear. If you want to see bad kids, it's just like they say, you want to see corruption, follow the money. You want to see the source of bad kids, follow the bloodline. See what taught them kids to be that way. Well, bacon stuffed donut, I agree with you in today. Back then, I would totally disagree with you because, I mean, single parent households during the period of time I'm talking about were probably less than 5% of the total population. Almost every kid came from a 2-parent household back then. It was very rare you had a single parent household in our community. Now you go to that same community, and I guarantee you, those kids, it's totally reversed. It's probably only 5 to 10% of those children are in a 2-parent household. Just the reverse, just the opposite. And they have all kinds of problems, tons and tons of problems. The fruit on pizza, they're saying. You can't say that. Maybe I can't say that. I don't like fruit pizzas where the whole pizza's fruit. Well, that's not a pizza. That's a dessert. I mean, yeah. Don't call it pizza. That's just giving it a word. Yeah. Hey, guys, it's 6 minutes past halftime. I got to shout out my channel members here. This only takes it's less than 50 seconds. So don't go anywhere, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll get back and I'll say some more things that I can't say. I'll see you in a moment. I'm making notes. This topic today actually brought some issues up that I'm going to throw into Sty Story Sundays. The about my hometown and about interaction with children and about how communities and how parents and how leaders in our communities have lost touch with the fact that children are your future. They are your future. And we don't invest the right things into our children anymore. We just don't. We just don't. We don't teach those children respect. We don't teach those children self-respect and pride in themselves. There's so much that they don't get taught today. There's so much they don't get taught. That's why I say so often I don't blame the kid. I'll say there's a troubled kid there, man. That kid's nothing but trouble. Little monster. Should do something about him. And then I have to reflect and tell myself, yeah, I need to have a good sit down with his parents and talk about why that kid's so troubled and what's going on there. Times are different. Times are different. It's like I said, why are times so different? Why have we allowed things to get to that point where there's things we can't even say? Now, there's a lot of people that would be very upset with me even going there and saying, I'm going to say it if I want to. Say what I want. Don't tell me I can't. That's the worst thing you can ever do to someone is say you can't. You can have a discussion with them and say, should you? Maybe you shouldn't say that. Maybe you should say this instead. That's totally different. But to tell a person, you can't say that. Now, we talk about the differences between men and women. You could be a guy that's all pro women. You support women. You just anything they can do, you're all behind it, this and that. But you'll say something. I guarantee you, you'll say something. They'll say you can't say that. You're a woman hater. Even though you know in your own heart you're not. It doesn't matter because they said you can't say that. Even if it's real obvious, it's something very obvious. We've got things going on in society right now where they're saying, well, you can't say that because of this, and this. That you can't say that. Well, you can say it, but Yeah, I'm making stuff. I'll fix that to show. But yeah, just a misspelling there. That's supposed to be that kid. the the I tell you what, Gemma is very, very intelligent. She's nobody's patsy. She's nobody's fool. She's got a mind of her own, and she listens. She listens, and she pays attention. And when it comes to the world of autism, she stays on top of it. She stays on top of it. So anyway, I worked for over 26 years with Native American tribes. And I had plenty of people over those years say, Sty, you can't say that. Well, what do you mean I can't say that? You're going to upset those Native Americans you work for. Guess what? In over 26 years, I never had any of the Native Americans I worked with, and I worked with many, many, many tribes throughout the nation. I never once had one of the tribal members come to me and say, you can't say that. They would come to me and say, you know what you said in a different context would have been off color, but under the context, I understand why you said that. Those people I hold the highest respect for that would approach me and say, oh, I wasn't upset because you said that. But it made me think. Boy, it made me think. Why would you say that in front of all these Native Americans? Well, it's because that's what I know, and that's what I've seen, and that's what I believe. You can change my mind, maybe, and I'll say something different. I had one individual say, non-Native person, you could get fired for that because you can't say that to Native Americans. I told him, I said, I'm willing to get fired because I have the right to say it, because I'm not going to lie to them. I'm going to tell them just the way it is. And if that hurts to that point that they want to get rid of me, then they'll get rid of me. They never did for 26 years. They didn't want me to resign. They didn't want me to stop. And it's because it was all done with respect. What you say, if there's no ill intent in what you are saying, why can't you say it? Why should someone else be able to dictate how you speak? Don't ever meaningly, with intent, tell this old boy he can't say that, because I can say whatever I want. You can pass all the laws in the world. You could pass a death penalty for saying blah, blah, blah. And if I believed in blah, 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 I just might say that out loud in front of the world. I might be willing to accept that death penalty for saying it, because no man, woman, or child in this world is ever going to tell me I can't say that. Yeah. Well, bacon stuff. don't it? That is a very isolated situation. Yeah, you can go down that road, but don't try to imply, whatever you do, don't try to imply that's the way Native Americans are. We could sit down and it'd take hours and hours, and I could actually put you on to Native American leaders that would give you quite the education on how conservative certain tribes are and their tribal members. And they would love to get their hands on this person you work with and give them an education on how that individual's lack of diversity and understanding is what holds a lot of tribes back. Gemma, you don't have to do that. I would have shouted out your comment to everybody without you having to do that to bring attention to it, girl. I love you, girl. That is so kind of you. Thank you so much. And that's it. We do have to, and like for like with bacon stuffed donut, and that's it. Is sometimes in order to get that whole big picture is almost impossible. You just don't have access to enough of it to see the whole big picture. But the context and interactions we do have can be very negative, and it will give you the impression of a body of people, and it's tough. It's tough at times. I was very subjected, personally, very subjected to some very nasty racial connotations towards me because I wasn't Native American by certain Native American individuals, that I was lesser than, and I was terrible, and I was this, and I was that. It was just reverse discrimination that was going on. And I understood where it was coming from. But people are people, and a lot of it comes from their environment. Who were they raised by? What does their community do? And what does their community believe? It's really tough. It's really tough. But where I'm going with that, you can't say that is becoming a societal standard where it's become so huge with the cancel culture issue mixed right into it. Well, you can't say that. And now we mean it. In other words, we're not going to let you say it. Where it used to be, oh, you can't say that. And the connotation behind it was that wasn't good. Ooh, you can't say that. People weren't saying, we're not going to let you say that. That's what they're saying nowadays, is we're going to do things to you for saying it. So we're not going to let you say it. You can't say it. You can't say that because we're not going to let you. You see it on social media all the time. See it on social media. Censorship constantly. Somebody says something, it might upset just a small group, this tiny little group. Well, you can't say that. We're taking you down. We're blocking your social media access. We're taking your post down. We're doing this. We're doing that. Because you can't say that. No, that's really not what they mean by that. They're not saying you can't say that. They're saying we're not going to let you say that. Do you see where I'm at with that? Do you see where I'm going with that? We went from an era of you can't say that to we're not going to let you say that. No such thing as reverse discrimination. It's just discrimination and is wrong. Yeah, that's a justifiable statement, me Dibble. That's it. Yeah, that's justifiable. The discrimination is discrimination, no matter where it comes from or who's doing it. It's just like prejudice or racism. They use the term reverse racism. Racism is racism. I don't care what anybody said. Racism, I don't care who it's coming from. If you're bashing another race, it's racism. Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with that. They don't agree. I've had people tell me, you cannot be racist unless you're white. Oh my gosh, back off, get away from me. You can say that, but I can't believe you mean it. I mean, that's stupid. That's stupid. Because if, let's say you're Asian and you hate whites and you hate blacks, well, that's not racist because they're not white. What the heck is it then? I mean, yeah, I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that in society. There's no real common sense left. There's no honesty left in society. We're going to twist everything to make ourselves right, no matter how wrong we are. Now, I used to argue that as an auditor of governmental programs. I'd look at embezzlements and things of that sort, misrepresentations, fraud. I had a situation where I had a leader of a governmental unit that kept quoting a dollar amount that was so overinflated that there was no way that number could even exist. We audited everything and we came up with the actual number. Okay, the number they used was $500,000, right? We found the real number. It was $52,000. But they kept saying $500,000, 500,000, $500,000, 500,000, $500,000. And I would correct that person. I would correct them every time I'd hear it, and I did it publicly. And I kept telling them, the audit proved it. No, it's $52,000, not $500,000. And they would walk right over me because they're a government leader. And they'd use that number right away again. And they kept doing that for almost a year and a half. And they would spout that number off any opportunity they had, especially when I was not present, when they knew I would confront them every time I heard it because they were lying to the public. And we had the hard proof. We knew where that money was and what the dollar amount was. They were saying the money went somewhere else, and it was 100 times more. They said it often enough that it became fact. It ran in major newspapers. It was all over the place. Governmental agencies were quoting their number, the false number, and they all ignored ours from the audit. I tried to explain to the public how they were bamboozled by this person by repeating a falsehood often enough that it became fact. It became everybody's truth, even though it was the biggest lie he ever heard. And I asked that individual, I got them off on the side, and I asked them, why are you doing that? Because the person that I tie to that money, I want to see them punished. I said, for something they didn't do. They said, they're a bad person, in my opinion, and I'll do whatever it takes to get them punished. It was a personal vendetta they had against this individual. And they were using their ability to be in the public eye to propagate this lie to the point that it destroyed that other person's life. I mean, it did. It really did. And I felt so bad for that person and their family and everybody around them that got negatively affected by this person that continued to propagate that lie to the point where everybody believed it. Now, if there's something you can't say, that's the type of thing you should not be able to say. But you can. So to say you can't say that is a misnomer, because everything can be said. The real issue is, should it be said or should it not be said? And like I had said just a short while ago, in today's society, now it has become, they'll tell you you can't say that. And then if you try, they won't let you. It's now become a, you can't say that? Try it, because we won't let you. It's a, we won't let you say that. Best thing we can do is speak the truth, be honest, let the world know who we are. We're not perfect, none of us. Not one of us is perfect. I'm far from perfect. So far from perfect. Yeah, I'm a perfect example of somebody that isn't perfect. Well, you can't say that. Well, I just did. Because I think that's the same with everybody else in the world. Everybody else. I haven't met a perfect person yet. And I don't believe it'll ever happen. Maybe the good Lord correct me on that, but nobody here is going to. We're not perfect. But the fact that we're not perfect, and we know we all aren't, we can better understand each other. And we can say that. We can say, because you said something that seemed off, I came to you and we talked about it. And we worked that out. We're a little closer to perfect because it worked out perfectly. You said something off color, and we managed to talk about it and worked it out. So yes, you can say it. You can say it. But be aware, with saying something comes with some responsibility for what you said. Like I had said way early in the show, I was raised being taught everything has consequences, the things you do and the things you say. You say something can have perfectly good consequences. You say the wrong thing and it can backfire on you. But the statement, you can't say that, is a misnomer. It's not true. You can say it. Just be ready for the consequences. They could be good, they could be bad. Hey, I love all you folks out there, and I can say that. I can say that because I do. I think you're all awesome. You're all awesome. You're the best. You're all the best, man. You can get on here. We discuss. We go all over the place. We agree and we kind of disagree. the disagree side is so soft with you guys. You're so wonderful. I mean, I see Kathy Gahan made it. It's good to see you, Kathy girl. Yep. There's some folks out there that are expecting some mail from me. If you get it, please let me know, would you? Yeah, I really like to know. Um, I've had the worst luck with the post office the last 6 months. But I'm going to let you go. It's the end of the show. We've gone beyond our hour. And I look forward to seeing y'all again. It's Monday, which means I have tomorrow off. I've got the day off. I got a video that I'm working on that I'll be working on tomorrow. I'm supposed to have my day off of the system. Get off of here. But I gotta render that video tomorrow. And I will see you all either on Wednesday evening, 5 p.m. here at Sty Times. Watch the tail end. You'll know what the topic will be. And if you can't make that one, Thursday night around the campfire at 7 p.m. Central Time. I'd love to see you at either one or at both. Until then, you all take good care of yourselves. Take very good care of yourselves. Tell your family and friends you love them today. Goes a long ways, guys. We'll see y'all.